Hey everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of the Five Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie AB. Now, after the announcement that the Liberals made about capping Saskatchewan and Alberta's energy at 35%, or by 35%, we need to talk about the dangers that the Liberal and the NDP coalition are putting Canadians in. Okay, in the name of climate change. All right, so we're gonna watch a little clip from Danielle Smith and then get into the video. Thanks for watching.
Of everything we plan to do, but it's a sign of things to come. It shows how we will respond if the federal government forces us to do so. If the motion passes, we'll act fast to get ready for Ottawa's destructive cap. Albertans expect no less. We'll defend Alberta's prosperity, Alberta's livelihood, and our energy industry. This motion marks an important step in our pushback against federal overreach. We're telling Ottawa, your cap goes too far. This is not the way federal-provincial relations should be. It's certainly not the way we want them to be. We would much rather cooperate with them for the sake of a cleaner environment and stronger, more prosperous nation. We could have both if they would just listen to reason, and they've chosen their path, so we've chosen ours. And the fight will continue for as long as it has to. And it's not only us who are standing against this cap. From the moment the federal government released their regulations, businesses and organizations have been standing in opposition, like Eric Nuttall, who is senior portfolio manager at 9 Point Partner, who said, and I quote, "Look around the world. No other major oil and gas producer is doing what we're doing. It behooves us to take a moment and ask, well, why is that? It's economic idiocy." And Francois Poirier, the CEO of TC Energy, who said, and I quote, "An emissions cap, which will act as a cap on domestic production of natural gas, will harm Canadian families and businesses by raising prices on energy." And Colleen Collins, VP of Canada West Foundation, who said the cap is, quote, "a significant intrusion on provincial management of resources." Albertans are relying on us to stand firm on this, and we will not let them down. And now...
Okay, so you seen the clip of Danielle Smith. She's talking about how the Alberta government is going to sue the Liberal government for putting a 35% cap, like taking away 35% of the energy sector in Saskatchewan and Alberta, okay? And I happen to absolutely agree with her because okay. So my thought right after I hear this is, how do you plan on making up for that 35% that you're about to take away? How do you justify taking away 35% of our energy that is made in Canada in the name of saving the environment? Because you're not. It's in the name of climate change, which is not the same as helping the environment. And I think that's where we need to differentiate the difference between what the Liberals are doing and, what I think people think the Liberals are doing, okay? They are getting rid of 150,000 jobs in Alberta and Saskatchewan if they go through with this. They'll be losing, I believe, 100,000 barrels of oil a day. And then billions of dollars will disappear from the GDP of Canada, I believe, okay? Please tell me how it's more environmentally friendly to ship over and get gas from somewhere else in the world and cap ours at 35%. Can someone tell me how that's ethical at all or environmentally sane at all? I was vegan for 5 years of my life, okay? And trust me when I say that they're not, the Liberal government and the globalist cabal care about scaring you into submission rather than scaring you into caring about the environment, okay? Because tell me why the only plan we have to save the environment is to put Canadians into poverty so that we use less emissions. That's literally what the carbon tax is. So it's BS when they say that it's not costing Canadians more money, because that's its only purpose, or else it's an MLM, okay? Well, it is kind of an MLM anyways. I have never once heard of people getting money from the carbon tax in wildfire areas at all. The revenue of the carbon tax was $24 billion. I'm sorry, guys, but if you're going to put a tax on our food, if you're going to put a tax on our hydro, rather, if you're going to put a tax on our gas, okay, what are you investing that money into? Because I'm not seeing, greenhouses in every community feeding that community. I don't see you guys giving tax breaks to local farmers. In fact, I see an even bigger carbon tax and an even bigger expense on our farmers. Does that really make sense to you guys? Does that seem like it's helping the environment or helping us whatsoever? Like, once people finally realize that we are the carbon that they wish to get rid of, because does it really make sense to get rid of Canada's 35% of our energy? Put up a bunch of red tape so that if you were part of a green, like if you are making electric batteries or solar panels or anything like that, you have so much red tape to open up a business in Canada. And then you have to pay so many taxes that what would be the point of doing so? People are very much, we are supposed to be in this world where we're buying electric vehicles from Canadian-made people, but there's no incentives for businesses to be here at all, okay? I guess there's so many things that I could think of as an ex-vegan and someone who used to care about the environment a lot. And it really doesn't make sense to shut down our locally made energy to have to purchase it from somewhere else, or they just say, hey, 35% of Canada, sorry, I know that we're cutting your energy by 35%, but I guess you're gonna have to find it somewhere else. Like, does that make sense to you guys? To do that to your citizens in the name of climate change? When Canada has like the most untouched forests in the world? Like, we are carbon neutral. We're carbon neutral. This is about controlling us. This is about ushering in all of these new things, because the thing is that if you have to put through a bunch of things because you think the end of the world is coming, that's an ideology. That's an ideology, because the far left really is no better than the far right, okay? Y'all both think the world is coming to an end every single day, all day, okay? One's because of the climate and one's because of religion, okay? I am religious, but I don't spend my days waiting and begging for the apocalypse to come, okay? Like, when I was vegan, okay, I'm dead ass sitting there like, so you guys are trying to tell me that me getting berries and relying on berries for the most part, okay, because when you're vegan, you're eating mostly fruits and vegetables, and you're relying on all of those fruits and vegetables to be imported within the winter months of Canada. And I'm like, so you guys are telling me right now, like when I was vegan, thinking this to myself, that it's better for me to have all of these fruits imported from Mexico, and there were studies proving this, okay? Better to get food from Mexico than it would than buying from a local farm, because the emission from cows is so much. Oh my God, it's such a strange ideology and anti-human ideology, because I give a fuck about caring about our earth, okay? I think it is very important. I think we could learn a lot from Indigenous people, but I'm not going to get rid of people in the name of saving the planet, because guess that, you guys need to really understand this. If there's no planet, there's no us. Everyone's like, well, why would you have kids if the world's gonna end? Because the world's gonna end and we're all gonna end at the same time, so why not just do whatever you want to do? I don't understand that argument. Well, there needs to be a planet to give your kids to. Okay, but if the planet explodes, I'm pretty sure that Canada and their little carbon tax is not going to stop it, okay? Especially when we have powerhouses like India, Russia, and China not putting a cap on literally anything that they do in the name of climate change, okay? When I went to go, my husband did our renovation at our old house, and we had electric baseboard heaters. Our hydro was so high every month that we invested in a gas powered furnace, because every green option that we looked into was more expensive and not attainable for us. And that's when I started to do this snowball, okay, about, Okay, so is oil and gas really that bad? And then I looked into Canadian oil and gas and how ethical it is versus some of the oil and gas that we're getting from overseas and how it travels and what's good and what's bad. It seemed to be all of a sudden that people started protesting these pipelines. I'm not saying anything. I don't know. But I know that these pipelines did benefit communities, like Indigenous communities. I know that some Indigenous people are super against it, and some Indigenous people are fine with it. But you would not know that unless you were on the internet, listening to other opinions and knowing that these places have actually helped entire communities, get jobs, bring people there, all of that good stuff. But there's also people who think that the land is very sacred and it's part of their traditions and stuff like that. So I completely understand what I think. I think it was all blown out of proportion by the Liberals. I am really not surprised by that, okay? It seems like most things turn 2015. We had a bunch of opposing and extremists on both sides all of a sudden, and it was very odd, okay? And Justin Trudeau, who, by the way, is worth $96 million, okay? He has gotten up in front of people and said that he doesn't care that Canadians are hungry, because they have to do this in the name of climate change. No, you could, like I said, give tax breaks to gardeners. Okay, if we had a good enough economy and only one person had to work in the household, and I don't give a fuck if it's the man or the woman, okay, you still save a shit ton of emissions by not having that second car out there on the road every single day, okay? I said the greenhouses, right? Maybe I didn't. Greenhouses in every community, farming in every community, farms dedicated to certain communities, okay? It doesn't mean that we can't have farmers that feed a lot of different communities. It just means that we can have certain farmers dedicated to feeding their communities. What else? Tax breaks to farmers here, tax breaks to anybody who wants to produce ethical energy in Canada, okay? Oh my God, like you have, like in Rouyn-Noranda in Quebec, don't roast me. I don't know how to speak French. They have something that is so toxic that the smelter company had to pay for 200 families to be relocated to the other side of Rouyn-Noranda. Do you think that company pays extra in carbon tax? No, they're grandfathered in. There are companies like Cottonelle who will buy property in Canada and have nothing on it so that their carbon scores are lower. And that's why they can be carbon neutral. Because you're wondering to yourself, I'm sorry, what do you mean you're carbon neutral? There was a huge process to making this toilet paper. What do you mean? Like you had to come here on a truck. Well, it's because they can buy property and say that they're carbon neutral. Because there's some property that has absolutely nothing on it. So when you weigh it out with the carbon bucks, it neutralizes it. Isn't that great? Well, we're stuck paying a massive carbon tax because I understand that most people think that this is just greedy CEO nonsense. Okay, no, guys. Greedy CEO nonsense has always existed. Okay, it looks like layoffs at companies. It looks like when you walk into Walmarts and they're absolute shit. It looks like when you walk into Walmart and there's self-checkouts. They do anything and everything to keep the lowest prices. And that includes destroying our food at the same time. So it's not just, I agree, CEOs are greedy, okay? But the thing is that this is on purpose so that we use less emissions and we change our behaviors, like eating less. It's the sick and sad truth about it all, okay? I didn't want to believe it either. So the question I have at the end of this is, what Canadians are going to be affected by the 35% less energy that we're about to have in Canada? Number one. Number two, how do they plan on making this up? And number three, why would you discourage Canadian businesses to have ethically, for a country that continues to bring people in, why would they cut our energy by 35%? Please just ask yourselves that. Because this government is so anti, like, citizen. I've really never quite seen anything like it. Coming from somebody who was so liberal they were NDP, in the past 4 years, they have made such an effort to make sure that Canadians do not get ahead, and they do it in the name of DEI, and they do it in the name of climate change. And I want you to ask yourselves, if the emissions haven't gone down in Canada, why do we do this? Why don't we go back to the drawing board and figure something else out? Because liberals will sit there and be like, well, you guys don't have a plan for the climate. Okay, well, why is your plan putting us into poverty? How is that a solid plan from any leader? Ask yourselves this. You know, I'm somebody who has to now buy Glad plastic bags because I no longer have plastic grocery bags to put in my garbage. That's right. I used to use recycled plastic bags in all of my grocery cans, and now I have to buy extra. I wonder who in Canada, what company is benefiting from grocery plastic bags being banned. I wonder. So the next time you see Sparkle Socks on the news lecturing you about climate change, just remember that he has a 18 fucking SUV entourage that follows him constantly. Vehicles on all the time. All the time. When Justin Trudeau is in a building, that car stays on. So that he's comfy when he comes back in, of course, naturally. And then remember that he has a private plane that he drives everywhere. And do I think that he should? Yes, obviously, he's the prime minister, but not while lecturing us and putting us into poverty. Half of these meetings, he doesn't even have to do. He could do over Skype. He's not included in them anyways. He might as well just be fucking FaceTiming himself in here, okay? I digress. Like and subscribe to this if you liked listening to me complain, because for so long I cried when my husband told me how much solar panels were and that we would have to get a gas furnace. Like, I was so wrapped up into being a good person that if we ever used plastic water bottles, I would literally hide them. The ideology convinces you are a dirty person if you are using oil or energy or of any kind. And you will believe that about yourself like I did. And I just want Canadians to snap the fuck out of it and think, are we really helping the environment by doing this? You know, you say, I've never seen Canada more fucking disgusting and filthy in my life, because we're bringing so many people here that we have so much trash. Like, we have so much more trash than we did before, that every time and you know what? It's not that our highways haven't been, lined with trash before or anything. They certainly have, especially after winter when all that snow melts. It's disgusting. But just when you go to every gas station down in Southern Ontario just seems to always be overflowing. Every time you go into a fast food place, it's just always messy. And yeah, I don't know. Just more trash seems to be produced. I don't know. Anyways, that makes sense, because if you have a quadrupling population, you're going to have quadruple the trash. I'm just saying. So, anyways, yeah, like, subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great day.